Blog Talk Radio. Hello to all. Welcome to Divas That Care Network. I am Joyce Benning, and I am the host for your show. Divas That Care is working together to make the world a better place. Our podcast may be listened to on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and any place you listen to podcasts. Go to our website, divasthatcare.com, and check out all the amazing hosts and their shows of women that they are interviewing around the world. I am so very excited today to welcome back a diva, Michelle Wright, and she is going to speak about communities, which truly excites my interest. Michelle, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, Joyce. So my name is Michelle Wright, and I live on a ranch in northeastern Alberta, Canada. And we raise quarter horses and paint horses, and we also run a couple small businesses in our local community of Smoky Lake, and I'm the Community Development Officer for the region. So I work for 4 municipalities on a contract basis to support community development, which is really interesting. It could be anything and everything could come to my desk because it's community and not just economic development.
Oh, my word. Oh, you are a very, very busy lady. Goodness.
Busy, yes.
Very busy. I love the community development. Can you want to tell our listeners a little more about what all is involved in doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
We would love to hear.
So my background is in what I would call stakeholder relations or community relations for larger companies. And so I spent most of my career before I retired doing, work with landowners and communities and things on behalf of the corporation. So really connecting the corporation through me to the communities that we worked in. And I just loved that job. It was so great. I had so many amazing landowners and community members that I worked with. And, our position was always, let's try and figure out how we can make it work for you, and we'll find a way. And we may not understand what it is you're asking, but we can figure out how to make it work because you believe that it's important. And so then out of that, I've been watching at the time it was an economic development position, and they've renamed it as a community development position. Every time the position came up, I was busy on a project or busy, doing something major for the corporation and wasn't ready to leave yet. And so just after I retired and we started our small businesses in our little town here, the position came open again, and I said to my husband, I really have to apply because I've been saying I want to be in that position for so many years, and now the opportunity's here, even though I'm, quotation marks, retired. I thought this was the opportunity to step into the role and really bring that community focus to the community development position. So my role is really success of the communities, and that could have an economic piece to it. Could be looking for investors or helping the small businesses, but it's also working with our nonprofit groups when they have events going on or things that they need to do, helping them find grants for the programs that they're trying to do because they're trying to help the community as well, working with individuals on, business brainstorming that they might have or dreams that they have. So it's quite an interesting position to sit in, to truly be in that position of support and help for the community. I'm not driving the bus. I'm really just, if they want to get on the bus, and we got to figure out where we're going to go and how we're going to get there. And that's my role, is to really search out through, that network that I built up over the 30 years with the industry folks. There's got to be somebody out there that can help you do what you want to do. And that's my job, is to connect those people together.
Oh my! Oh, I just love that. That is just incredible. I'm not familiar with having something like that in a community, but oh man, how helpful that would be. That, especially, is it a large community you work with or a smaller based community?
Well, we're under 5,000 for the entire region, and there are 4 municipalities within the region. So there's 2 small villages the county itself, and then the town. And so those four municipalities work jointly together on community development, which is quite a unique situation. There aren't a lot of municipalities that work together in this. It's tended to be for years, a competitive space. Let's compete for the investors. Let's compete for, the small businesses. And these four joined together and said, whatever happens in my village affects you in the county or affects the town and vice versa. So we want to have robust communities at whatever level those communities want to be at, which is a really interesting, it's something that I've come to a bit naturally, is really to listen to the communities about what it is they're trying to achieve, and then offer things that might be helpful versus coming in and say, well, I think we need a big smokestack and that'll save everybody and we'll all have jobs and things like that. It's really to find out what the community is looking for, and then try and find ways to make that happen. So it's a new and upcoming way of doing the community work. And there's a woman out of Ontario called, she's with Campus for Communities, Brenda Hirschmer. So she's a very interesting person and has taken this perspective as well, is that it's not up to the saviors to come and tell the community what they need. It's up to the community to say what they're trying to do, and for the professionals not to apply the solution they have in their back pocket, but to find a way to get to what the community is looking for. And I just love that. I think that's the right way. It gets people involved. It lands with people. They understand why they're doing it. It's their baby, and the professionals are there to support that, versus the professionals being the ones that say, we think you have a problem and we just happen to have a solution for you.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I love that, because that involves the whole community, and it sounds like you're kind of a voice for the community of what they would like to see put in on different projects and different things happening within that community. Oh, yeah, Michelle, that is just incredible. Well, if some of our listeners,
you can see why I had to take the job.
Totally, totally. I would totally understand that one, because, oh my goodness, what an incredible feeling to be able to know how many people you are helping and helping give their voice to others and making decisions and letting the community be the ones really making the decisions and telling you what they are looking for. Oh, I just love it. That is just awesome. Yeah. And you mentioned Campus for Communities. Is this a training that others can get involved in, or is this a way that some other communities might be able to connect with something in this aspect?
Absolutely. So there is a Campus for Communities website, and I can certainly get that to you guys so that you have it. So as I said, Brenda's been doing this work through, university level courses, as well as doing the Campus for Communities program. It's all online. She does do some workshops in communities as well. And what I love about her work is it's really, trying to find out who the people are in the room first, and what's important to them and what their values are, and, that value-driven position. And then look at what you already have. So it's asset-based. What do we already have, and how do we leverage that? Sort of versus the typical, well, let's get a flip chart out and find out all the things that are wrong with us, and then let's try to figure out what we can actually fix. It's more about what do we actually have, and if we want to be more of that, how do we use what we have to get more of that, and then are there any opportunities to do something new as well? It's interesting because there's a couple of groups that I sit on that are predominantly professionals who are in the social services type field, and the training for that is, here's the programs that we've developed. Now let's go find a place to put them. And this is different. This is about really the community saying what's going on with us, and often what I'm hearing from the communities, the things that they're okay with are things that maybe others thought should be fixed or improved. and they're saying, no, we're fine with that. We don't need a big this, or we don't need, we've kind of got our social stuff handled. We look after our community members. We have these programs in place. They're we make sure they always are well funded, and those pieces are in place. What we really want to look at is, longer term sustainability. So we see our youth leading, or we, those kind of things. So it's really great to hear from the people that are in the community saying, what is it they want. Tourism is a great example, that people are saying we still want to be ourselves. We'd love to share what we have with others, but we don't want to be a national park. Like, we don't want to be overrun by tourists. We want to be able to share one-on-one, small groups, really showcase what we have as a community, and be able to interact with those people, and less about, having the big Ferris wheel and, some sort of amusement park that would draw thousands and thousands of people every day.
Oh, that is just incredible. It brings to my mind a little bit called tourism, agriculture and tourism kind of. It's more of a one-on-one basis with people, and you connect that way. Oh, I just love this. This is just awesome listening to you. You are it's
interesting. There's so many, you know how they say when you start on something and it's meant to be, that all of a sudden all these things start coming across your plate that you thought, well, why haven't I seen this before? Why didn't I know that there were other people thinking this way? And there's there's a great book called The Third Pillar. It's by Raghuram Rajan, and he was a World Bank economist, but he talks about the markets and the state and the community being these three pillars, and the third pillar has, for most of our generation, been left behind. And the state and the markets can only do so much and control each other in a certain way if the community is not being asked or engaged on what's important to them. No matter how much regulation or how much control or how much, sort of back and forth the state and the markets do, the table falls, because that third pillar needs to be at the table, saying this is what we need to make it happen. And when you talk, about this, often when we have economic challenges, we say, well, let's get some funding from the federal government, or let's get some funding from the provincial government or the state government, and that'll help us out. And the community might say, well, actually, we don't think this business is sustainable in this environment, or these are the things that we need to change in this business, or here's how this business helps our community. But it also inhibits us from growing as a community, because we put all our eggs in that basket, or we want to start thinking about other ways that we could enhance our community. And we all have work, which is that market piece. We all have work, but we're not necessarily happy in our communities. We're wondering what else there is to life, and how do we build those communities that help us see what else there is to do with our life, and still keep the markets working well, and the state engaged in the role that it should be playing. Yeah.
That is just so awesome. That is just absolutely incredible, because what you're doing is the people that are out there doing the work and involved in things, they're having a voice of what is happening, and that is just awesome. You have an incredible position. I totally can relate why you felt you had to get back to that.
Well, and it's I'm totally selfish about it, right? So the energy that this work gives me is fantastic. It's not a town hall where you go and listen to people kind of crab about what's going on and what they don't like, and all the things that are wrong, and trying to throw it at someone to make it their problem to fix. This is, when people get excited about things, or even if they're just starting to think about what might be possible, that's an incredible space to sit in, sort of the birth of a star, and sit with that energy and go, wow, there's so many possibilities. Even when somebody comes and says, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to do something. I want to start my own business, but I don't even know what I should do or how I should start. That's a real benefit to me as well, to sit with someone like that and see the things kind of grow and be fostered. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And I want my community to be strong, So that, when I finally move to the care home, I want to make sure that there's young, vibrant, happy, health professionals that love our community and they love being there and they love the work that they do. That's the kind of space that I want to go into. And the only way that we're going to get that is if we start to encourage the development of those spaces. And that's the question really, when we talk about the state and the markets is when you have a bunch of the stuff going on where it's pulling too hard and the community's asking for, more caring people and more engaged people and from the health professionals, but they're being tagged to, we're only going to pay this much and we're not going to do this. And these are the boxes you have to stay in. And the community is trying to pull back into kind of an older style of care where there's more involved in the care of individuals or families in the community and less about the professionals doing it all.
Yes. Oh, goodness. Well, when you said your energy, you are very energetic. I can feel it through this interview. I mean, you're bubbly.
Yeah. Well, and I love you guys. I love what you do, and so it's so exciting to talk to you guys and hear your energy as well as to everything that's going so well for Divas.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I have to ask another question too, because I went to your website, Wide Open Spaces, and I love the Farm Cleaner Upper, and I absolutely love Build a Dream and a Life of Your Own, which ties all into your community. Would you please share with our listeners a little bit about what you are involved in this Wide Open Spaces as a farm cleaner upper?
Absolutely. So, it's interesting when you, I'm following this value of what is it that the person who's asking for the service, what do they really want? And so the original business was I was looking for something to stay physically active, and I'm not much of a gym rat or anything like that, but I like moving stuff and lifting stuff and trying to figure out how to, leverage something into a truck. And I mean, that's what we do on the farm, right? We get pulleys and do things and, and a lot of the times we're out by ourselves trying to do this work. So I just enjoyed the brain body connection that gave me, how do I keep my body healthy and have it perform a task? And how do I do it in this way? Like how can I think about how this could be done? So the farm cleanup piece came from really talking to a number of my landowners when I was doing the work for industry, and they were aging and they had concerns and they didn't know who was going to take over their farms and they didn't know if they could get their farms sold. And so I just started helping, and that was like, I like doing this. I like actually having somebody look out the window and see a different view than they saw for the last 30 years because, maybe their husband's passed away or one of the spouses has passed away and they just don't know where to start. And sometimes clearing that clutter, and on farms we tend to have, clutter on steroids because we have real estate, and so it kind of gets filled up with stuff over the generations, and we get attached to it because it is intergenerational junk. It was Grandpa's first tractor, it was Dad's first tractor, and all of a sudden you have 10 tractors there because the uncle brings one, and nobody's doing anything with the equipment at all, and it's filling up someone's yard, and it's stressing them out. Every time they walk out to do something, they walk by this pile of stuff. So that's where it started. And so I did several years of the cleanup, actually physically doing the cleanup and getting things hauled out. And then what I discovered was a lot of the people who were calling me to talk about the service were just looking for a starting point. They were so overwhelmed by what they had to do. And often it is because there's been a change in the family situation. And so someone's left behind to deal with a whole bunch of stuff. Or maybe the kids were going to take over the farm and then they changed their minds. Or they did take over the farm and now they're yelling, get your junk out of here, or whatever it is. So that's where the coaching part came in. And what I discovered is that most of the clients were calling for coaching around this issue that turned into coaching, life coaching on other topics. So they come with this thing about, well, I've got this junk and I need your service. And we talk through, well, what is it about, what does this do for you? What's happening? How does it make you feel? What are you really looking to get out of it? And it morphed into, I've been my kids are all grown. I've been married for 30 years. I'm not really sure what the next 10 years look like. I don't know how we're ever going to retire on the farm because my husband's never going to retire and I want to travel. And, all these other things have started coming out. And I said, okay, this is really coaching. And so then I said, that's really the business that the community is looking for. That's really what people are looking for. And sometimes they would say, well, I really do want you to come and help me, get started on the cleanup or do the cleanup. But often, because as coaches, we hold people naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. They've been running these farms for 30 years. They know how to do work. It was just the overwhelm that they had to kind of get through to say, yeah, okay. And I would send them my resource sheet that said, here's all the metal recycling guys, and here's the people that can come and clear some trees, and and they could start making calls and getting things started and be in control of what was happening. And they might call in a moment of stress and say, I'm cleaning out my dad's house and he's got like 50 piles of newspapers and I don't know if there's one in here that's worth $1,000. What do I do? But that, and so it was kind of it just shifted. And what I liked about that was, again, it put the person who was working through the challenge back in control of how much they wanted to do, where they wanted to get it to, why they were doing it. And often they were in places where they were getting conflicting advice. So, I had a woman whose husband had passed away and he had, like hundreds of cars, that he was a parts guy, hundreds and hundreds of cars. And her accountant was saying, oh, you don't want to get rid of those cars because they're going to pay you too much money and that's going to be a tax problem. I said, but you don't have any money right now. So please sell some cars because you need the money now, and even if you're going to have to pay some taxes on it, you will have some money to live on for the next year. So the different, how different professionals come at it about, well, what's important? It's important to the farm not to have a huge tax bill or not to, or to pay the least amount of taxes. But if you don't have any cash in your jeans, that's a problem. So that's where the coaching part really got going was, and sometimes it would be, I'd get a text message and they just say, oh, I don't know what to do about this, or I'm really feeling stressed today, or I'm really feeling overwhelmed, or I had a great day. Here's what I got done. And so, a bit of an accountability partner as well, that they could sort of report back in and say, I didn't get anything done, but I'm feeling good about it, or I didn't get anything done and I'm not feeling good about it, and talking through where you're at right now. And, hey, it took you 30, 40 years to collect this stuff. I'm really surprised you think you can get it done in 2 weeks and get it all out of there. So cut yourself some slack and do it one step at a time. One woman just said, I just want to look out my kitchen window and see none of that junk. I said, then just clear the triangle. Forget about all the stuff that's sideways and behind it. Just clear the triangle first so you have peace when you're doing your dishes, and then you can decide about the rest of it. Leave it for the kids to do. Leave it for the auction guys to do. Leave it when you move off the farm, whatever you want to do. But just to get her to that place where she could say, that's all I want right now is I'm just so tired of looking out the window and seeing all that junk. Like, great, then that's what we'll work on.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome too. I love what you're doing. You are helping them, giving them ideas on how to create what they are wanting to get to at that, if they're in a transition of their life or just kind of want to clean things up. That is just awesome.
And actually, and what's important, Joyce, is also allowing them to be in that place where it's okay to do nothing. Because so many times I think we get this big long list going, and then we start to feel bad about ourselves because, well, I've got all this stuff on the list, and that those coachable moments are when you can say, well, how did it get on the list in the first place? Well, because my kids said they don't want to do it, or my neighbor who, her husband passed away, and that's what she did, and that's how she got through, her year or 2 or 5 of grieving. And I said, but is it working for you? Because if it's on the list and it's not getting done, there's a reason why it's not getting done, and it's okay for it not to be done because you're working through something else. And that might be what you need to be doing right now. So just that, take the foot off the accelerator for a bit and pause in the moment and really think about what it is you want to do. You want to be cross-stitching? You want to go traveling? It'll be here when you get back. We don't have to do it all.
Oh, that's great. You're a word of encouragement to them. to help them kind of sort through things. Oh, that is great, Michelle.
So.
I love it.
I hope
you
so.
are.
Yeah, and
I
then,
can tell. I love it.
And then we do the heirloom. Oh, so out of that, the business morphed into that. And then as I was doing speaking engagements and things like that, talking about farm cleanups, which tend to be very like kind of storytelling about, not about, you never know who the person was. It's not about that, but to say, here's some examples of where people were at and why it was important for just to get them to recognize that that's where they were at. And then this is what happened next in their lives, right? So telling those stories in a humorous way so people can say, oh, it doesn't have to be this big dark cloud over my head. We can laugh about it. We can have some fun about it. And then I had people popping up in the audience saying, I'd like to do what you do in my part of the province. And it's like, that's fantastic because I can't travel. It's not worth anybody's time for me to travel 11 hours to go help somebody on a cleanup. Right. But if there are people in corners of the province who can actually do that work and find the, community resources, who's in the community doing what, who's collecting metal, who's the guy that can do the trees, who's going to actually come and mow that big thick lawn down after it's finally cleaned up. That's community based. And so having those people pop up, that's been a really exciting time for me to say, great, go for it. This is what you got to get on your list, and then you just start talking to people, and they're going to come. Word of mouth is very quick, and they're going to come, and they're going to start asking for those services, and you're going to have a lot of fun doing this. And when you stop having fun, then you need to pass it on to someone else.
Oh, neat! You're inspiring others to do it, and that's incredible. What an inspiration you are.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is just great.
So then out of it, there's always, so the wide open spaces piece, the other part of that was there was always something in these cleanups that the folks just couldn't let it go, but it wasn't something that that was usable or that they could cherish or actually, make it something that they could actually honor in their lives. So, things like, well, here's a box of what looks like furniture parts or sticks, and they say, well, this was my grandmother's rocking chair when she was a toddler or something like that. And I said, okay, so I can do that. Like I can take that and turn it back into a rocking chair or into something else if you want to use it for something else. So, is it a trunk and you want it to be a table, or is it a table and you want it to be storage, or is it the tabletop and you want to have something done to it so that you could hang it in a place that then when you walk by it, you actually, it brings good memories to you. So that's the heirloom rescuing piece, was to find those little pieces that, we're kind of trying to toss them in the truck, and someone is holding on to that, saying, I just don't know if I can let that go. And again, stopping in that moment and having the coaching to say, okay, well, what's going on? What is this piece? And, why is it so important? Or, and some of them might be just, well, I bought that at a garage sale, 30 years ago, and I've never done anything with it. And I feel like if I let it go now, that I've kind of failed, what my original vision was for it. So being able to turn that back into something that was useful to them, or at least that they could have in a place and honor it, honoring those heirlooms that we have. So that's been a great, addition to the business, and something that I like to do for my own creative outlet.
Oh, yes. It's restoring memories to these people of something that maybe, like you said, was in a box or they had put away. Oh, yes, that is incredible. Giving them that piece back. Oh, I love that. Oh, Michelle, this has just been an incredible interview. I just love visiting with you. And
thank you.
You are so welcome. Would you like to leave any special thoughts, tips, or tools with our listeners today? You've given us so much information. Do you have some final words of advice you'd like to leave?
Well, I think the piece for me is really, and you hear it all the time from the business people that are helping you start businesses or get on your path or whatever, is to really quantify or qualify your values. What is it about your choices, and how is that connecting to your values? And so for me, I have this value around community vibrancy. And that doesn't mean that I'm out everywhere doing everything or trying to run the show on everything. It's about, making sure the dots are all connecting so that the community can grow this web of connectivity and success. So that, coming back to that all the time, when we started our small business in our community, we run a courier freight drop-off, because rurally, most of the freight and courier folks in Canada, anyways, don't deliver rurally. They'll deliver to a community, but they don't deliver out to the farm. And so people were trying to order parts and things, because they don't have a tractor dealership in town anymore. And the parts were sitting, an hour and a half away in Edmonton. So we set this up, and when we went down this path, it was so important to say, this is about the community. And then every business decision we make is about the community. Are we going to have a bin for the food bank? Are we going to use our garage to store clothing for the clothing drive? Are we going to, be the place where people can kind of use us to connect things they need to get connected on? And that drives our business decisions every day. And that's where I can say it's not just woo-woo, hocus-pocusy stuff when we talk about values. It can actually streamline your decision-making every day in your business, in your life, in your relationships, by saying, is this actually speaking to my value, one of my values? And if it's not, or it feels fuzzy, then it's not the right thing.
Right. Oh, that is some great thoughts and advice to leave with our listeners. Oh, how incredible, Michelle. Oh, I just want to thank you so much, Michelle, for being my guest. And I do hope you will return and keep us updated on your community work along with your businesses.
All right. Thanks.
You are so welcome.
You have a great day.
Thank you, Michelle, and you definitely do the same.
Right.
And we
Take
will
care.
be you do the same, definitely. Bye-bye. Because we will be posting all your social media links to this podcast. And I want to thank all of our listeners for listening to this interview with our amazing diva, Michelle Wright. Please share this show with your family and friends, along with telling them that they may listen to Divas That Care podcasts on Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or any place they listen to podcasts. Be sure to check out all the hosts and their shows on divasthatcare.com. Have a fantastic day. Be kind to all. Give your animals a hug and share your love with them. Until next time, stay strong and healthy.